So above me is alleged footage of the 1893 Chicago World Fair. Now, these World Fairs were put on all over the United States, but there's a lot of mystery surrounding them. The architecture, the technology seemed way too advanced for the time. Many compared it to that of Roman architecture and culture, but then after they were done, they literally burnt them to the ground. So many theorists believe that this architecture was already here, and it was from a previous civilization. Civilization. Now, I want you to look at this video and look at it closely. Look at the height of the people in this video. Notice how tall they are. Now, I've always been told that the people were shorter back then. In fact, much shorter, like 5'8" or less. Well, some of the people in this video, especially the men, the soldiers, are much taller than that. You can just tell by looking at them. Their averages of 6 foot plus, maybe even taller, 6'4". Look at that man. And look at how long their legs are, their stride. Very tall. And they get even taller as it goes. Even the women standing on the sideline, they look generally pretty tall. Which begs the question, who are these people and where are they from? And just wait, it gets even better. Look at that gentleman right here. Look how tall he is. Even him, especially him. Could these be potentially the Tartarians? Tall. These people are plus 6'4" and up. Right here, look at that gentleman. Could this be the previous civilization that actually built the structures that were at the Chicago World Fair and the World Fairs all over the United States? Then they toppled it over so we wouldn't remember the previous civilizations and taught us a different history. That's what some believe. What made these fairs so mysterious was the fact that they went to such great lengths to build these colossal structures and these ornate pieces in a really fast turnover. We're talking the Chicago World Fair was 700 acres of exposition built in allegedly just 2 years to last for just 6 months, and then they pretty much completely demolished them when they were done. The St. Louis World Fair was 1,200 acres, supposedly built in 3 years. The buildings were like nothing we have today. This one you see behind me was the manufacturer's building built in Chicago. It housed 300,000 people, y'all. Now, to put that in perspective, the Big House at U of M houses the most people out of any college football stadium in the nation. And it only houses 110,000. You're talking 3 times that in this building. Next is the electricity. Tesla and Westinghouse won the contract for the Chicago Exposition. They supposedly sourced from Niagara Falls all the way to Chicago. Now, thousands upon thousands of light bulbs were used to light up these beautiful sceneries. And it's almost hard to grasp just how much electricity that would take. They had electric trains, floating concert halls that were moving along the water as the concert played. Then there was the world-renowned Statue of the Republic that stood 65 feet high. It was a Lady of Liberty that was supposedly laden with gold leaf with copper underneath, but many actually theorize that she was really made out of pure gold. I mean, we would have a hard time accomplishing this feat today. They even had a moat, or like a river, through Chicago that represented Columbus's voyage to America. And Jackson Park is literally a swamp. It's very hard to build on a swamp. They literally had to slam thousands of wooden stakes into the swamp in order to build on it. We would have a hard time accomplishing this feat today. How they do it? Well, their claim is that they used lumber and this new type of stucco to create all of this fine artwork. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't look like stucco to me. That looks like some of the most beautiful architecture I've ever seen. And it doesn't stop there. It's all over the Chicago World Fair and every World Fair that took place in the late 1800s. I couldn't help but notice this guy, the demon. Interesting. So say this was built in the late 1800s in a matter of 2 years. What did they use? What type of technology did they have access to? Sacred geometry, a technology that's been hidden from us that we have no idea actually exists? Or had all that architecture and those structures been here for hundreds, possibly even thousands of years from a previous civilization, a civilization that was much more advanced than we are today, or had access to technologies that we're not being allowed access to. To me, it's very telling that when the fairs ended, all of the buildings either had caught fire in Chicago, or like in St. Louis, everything was just demoed, brought to the ground. To put in all that effort and build those magnificent buildings in such a short period of time, and after 6 months of people enjoying them, to just level them, is very odd. It's hard not to think there's more to the story going on here. So I was able to locate this on the internet. It's a alleged ticket to the World Fair. But doesn't this look more like an ID to you? Look at the descriptions: height, eye color, hair color, sex, all the above. It looks like a form of identification. Now, why would a ticket to the World Fair look like an ID? Also, take a look at this. This is supposedly a crowd that was at the World Fair. Where's all the tall people I showed you from the previous video? And why is every single person wearing the exact same hat? They look almost out of place. It's almost as if they don't belong or are out of their element, don't know what to think about the entire situation. And then there's pictures like this of people stacked on top of electric train cars. Literally millions of people pouring in all at the same time. Very interesting. Now, of course, this is just for entertainment purposes only. It's just going outside of the box, thinking unconventionally. But could they be adult orphans? And if so, where did they come from and why? And then, what happened to the previous civilization, the one that I believe is in that video? Again, the following is for entertainment purposes only, but there's a legend or a story that hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago, an evil alien race stumbled upon Earth. At the time, we weren't near as advanced, so they took it over, and they acquired a taste for human flesh. So they took over and they let us inhabit the Earth, only to farm us every so many thousand years. They give us bits of technology. They allow us to advance, but only to a certain degree. And how are they getting away with this, you might ask? Well, it's supposedly because we're in a corner of the galaxy that is unwatched by the Galactic Federation. So I'm not saying this is true at all, you guys, but it's just a cool spin on the entire story. Like, what could have happened to that civilization? Was there a reaping? They consumed or farmed the previous race of Tartarian descendants, took their children, maybe underground, and those orphan adults that we were seeing are those being brought back to Earth to repopulate. Hence the beautiful buildings, hence all of the gorgeous architecture and structures, the technology. They couldn't leave the buildings because if they left them, as we grew or as the adult orphans had kids and grew, they would question where these buildings came from, how they were built. Why can't we build them, but they're here? So, in order to get rid of all that, they showed them human potential and then reset it. Like I said, go take a look at Lady Legend's Facebook, her video about the government employee that stumbled on the wrong floor. And he watched the 4-hour tape that is allegedly showed to all the new presidents. In the story, it discloses the situation here on Earth and our relationship with these higher alien beings. It's interesting to ponder, at least. The world fairs were immaculate. The architecture was like that of Rome. The art was ornate and beautiful, like nothing we've ever seen. We can't mimic the buildings to this day. And how quick they allegedly built them? Not gonna happen. So what did happen? One can only speculate. There is one thing that I gotta say has been bothering me. That when I first heard this story about the Earth being a large farm for a higher alien race, one of the first things I was told by the men in black when they started recruiting me was that I was food, and that Earth was in fact one large farm. So I hope y'all enjoyed that story. Again, it's for entertainment purposes only. It's all in good fun. The World Fairs are a mysterious event that took place in the United States all over the country. People are taken aback by it. Obviously, to this day, it's talked about often, but a lot of people speculate. Many believe it was Tartaria, or the Tartarians that built these beautiful structures, and that is why they were demolished after the fairs. Now, obviously, it could just be exactly what they say it is. Either way, I enjoyed talking about it. I might cover it a little more in the near future. I'm back, guys. Continue watching for my stories. I'm going to be pushing a lot more content here starting now, at least 3 times a week, and I'm going to start my lives again. So keep an eye out for those. Love y'all. Thanks for watching. Stay in love, stay in light, be kind to others. I am out.